Our team spent the day digging through National Transportation Safety Board records, which show there have been at least 3 investigations into air traffic incidents at DCA in the last 15 years. Now, that includes one from just last year when a plane coming in from Virginia was in the direct path of another plane that had actually already been cleared for takeoff. It's those kinds of close calls and congestion that have made safety an issue here, both past and present.
I might fly in and out of there 2 or 3 times in a couple of days. It can get crowded.
Doug Rice knows the challenges of flying into Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. better than most. As a retired airline pilot, he's flown in and out of what's known as DCA countless times.
When Marine One is coming or going, you've got 3 helicopters plus the support ships plus the police helicopters around it. So you might have 6 or 8 helicopters all coming up and down the river, all very close formation.
He calls it a helicopter highway, cutting right through some of the country's most complex and restricted airspace, with police and military helicopters sharing the sky with commercial airliners over the nation's capital. The close quarters can cause disaster, as evidenced by Wednesday's crash. But federally collected data shows the potential for chaos has long been known. Our national investigative team found a 2013 report from a pilot approaching the same runway with a helicopter nearby. As we began our turn from base to final, they said, the helicopter made what looked like a right turn directly into our flight path, the pilot indicating they narrowly avoided a collision. Other reports from pilots to the feds show at least 27 close encounters at Washington National, as the airport at times handles as many as 1 flight each minute.
You can't really squeeze much more than that in there.
But with congestion comes concern about safety. Still last year, many in Congress began fighting to add more flights into the mix, calling established limits on Reagan archaic.
People who want to come back and forth, or simply families who want to come visit the nation's capital. This makes it unnecessarily difficult for each of them.
Difficult also for members of Congress, who critics have pointed out would benefit from adding more flights to help get back and forth from work to their districts. But key lawmakers close to D.C. argued against the move. Last March, senators from Maryland and Virginia, including Tim Kaine, wrote their colleagues calling DCA overburdened, citing high-profile incidents and near misses as the reason not to add more flights. Still, the bill passed, with the FAA saying more flights could be safely managed.
And I've been praying that there wouldn't be something like last night, but kind of dreading in my heart that there would be.
Sometimes politics looks very narrowly at a subject, and in this case, Washington National needs a broad view.
John Golia is a former NTSB board member, closely watching the ripples of Wednesday's crash. They began with the dozens of flight diversions our team found, with passengers from cities including Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, Seattle, and more all rerouted. Those are relatively simple fixes in the wake of a crisis. But Golia says solving the complex issues and competing interests surrounding Reagan National will be much harder to solve.
And maybe this accident will now provide the momentum to take this whole airspace issue in and around D.C. and put it on the top of the table, because we've been putting Band-Aids on it for 40 years.
The 5 routes approved by Congress and announced back in October include San Antonio, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, and Las Vegas. In Washington, D.C., I'm Josie Sturman.